I'm sorry for my absence over the past, 2 months. I've been on the road with country music artist Ryan Daniel, but I'm off the road till the end of the year, so I figured I'd get back in the studio and do some of these videos for y'all. Today I'm going to be doing a video about double stops. For whatever reason, people starting out, that's a scary term. I know it freaked me out when I first heard it. I was like, what is a double stop? That sounds crazy. Just two notes being played at the same time. Nothing more than that. However, getting into what two notes to play at the same time can be a little tricky. You have to know a little bit about intervals, especially thirds, fourths, fifths, and sixths. Easy for me to say, right? So we'll start out with a little short, just cliff note interval lesson. So you have a C major scale. You have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. No sharps, no flats in that scale. So you want to play a third interval. Well, you go C, D, E. That third note is your third interval. C and E, third interval. So you want to play a sixth. C, D, E, F, G, and A. A is your sixth interval. So that's how you figure intervals out. Worst comes to worst, I know I did this first starting out, especially as getting into theory. I would write all the note names of the scale down on a piece of paper and literally just draw brackets to, oh, there's the third, there's the sixth, there's the fifth, there's the fourth, all that good stuff. So like I said, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth are common intervals in interval usages in double stops. It really helps too if you can harmonize the scale with those intervals, going do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, harmonizing them down. And I'll give a few examples of harmonizing probably sixths and thirds in this video, because those are the most common intervals to harmonize with using double stops for the most part. Alright, so enough talking, let's get into playing and taking a look at some of these cool double stops. Alright, so what I'm going to start out by showing you are thirds on the B and E string. We're going to start out with another short little fly-by-night theory lesson. In a major key, C major is what we're dealing with today. The one chord is major, which is C. The second chord in the scale is minor. The third chord in the scale is minor. The fourth chord in the scale is major. The fifth chord in the scale is major. The sixth chord in the scale is minor. And the seventh chord is minor for right now. And this is going to make sense in a minute, because we have two shapes. We have a major third shape and a minor third shape. And that's just on these two strings. And it's all you're going to need to know to harmonize these scales and start creating really, really nice double stop lines. So I'm going to play C major. Our major third shape looks like this, and I'm just pretending there's a 0 fret back here just for visual purposes. So I'm playing C on the first fret of the B string, and I'm playing E, open string. So it sounds like this. Alright, and like I said, the 4 and 5 chords in this scale are major, or in this key are major. And major keys are major, sorry. So the F is your 4 chord, that's going to be major as well. And there's your major shape with my middle finger on the B string at the 6th fret and my index finger on the high E string at the 5th fret. And we move this shape just up one whole step, and we have our G chord, which is major. And then back down to our starting position at C with the open E string. Now, in order to make a major shape minor, so let's take this F chord, all we have to do is move your index finger down a half step. So from the 5th fret to the 4th fret. Makes it go from happy to sad, right? It's a minor chord. So, like I said before, the one chord's major, the second shape that we're going to play is minor, the third shape we're going to play is minor, the fourth shape we're going to play is minor, the fourth shape we're going to play is major, the fifth shape we're going to play is major, the sixth shape we're going to play is minor, and the seventh shape we're going to play is minor. So it looks like this, and I'll play it really, really slow. And it's just a harmonized major scale in thirds. That's all it is. And it's really useful because you can come up with these cool lines like things like that, using little chromatic things. Things like that. Comes up with these, you can come up with cool double stop lines by harmonizing the scale. All right, we're going to do the same thing on the G and B string. We're starting here on the 5th fret. Our major shape is just barred at the 5th fret. So you got the G string at the 5th fret, the B string at the 5th fret. There's our C major. In order to play minor, it's going to look just like the major shape on the B and E strings. I know it's confusing, but once you're able to discern it between yourself, it's no big deal. So there's your minor shape. Major, minor, major. So we're going to harmonize the scale again, and I'll play it really slow. You go major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, minor, major. Back to the 1. And again, just work on little lines using these harmonized major scales and thirds. I encourage you to practice it on these lower strings. It gets a little muddy, but it's good. It helps you see it across the neck, and it's really good for you. I'm not going to show you in this video because I feel like these 2 string sets are enough to get you started, and then you'll be like, oh, I got the hang of that. Never mind, we're good. So let's move on to some 6. All right, so I'm just going to go a quick lesson on 6th intervals because we already have a video about that you can check out, and I'll put the link to that video in the description of this one. So it's the same concept. We have major and minor intervals. Our major interval is still in the key of C. Looks like this. Our root's going to be on the high E string, and for visual purposes, this is how I look at it, is I look at the root on the high E string rather than what's on the low string. So here you go. In the key of C major, I've got my index finger on the, the 8th fret, and my middle finger is on the 9th fret of the G string, and I'm skipping this B string. So I'm just working off the G string and the high E string. And I'm using my pick, my Talon guitar pick, and my middle finger to pluck both the strings at the same time. And the minor interval is really, really easy. You're on the same fret for both strings, the G string and the high E string. And for the minor interval, like I said, same fret. I've got my middle finger at the 10th fret of the G string, and my ring finger on the high E string at the 10th fret. And it's like that, just harmonizing the scale. Those are the only 2 shapes. This is where you get all your, all that stuff from. So I'll put the link in the description to the 6th intervals. Let's move on to 5th. Now we're going to be looking at the C major scale in 5ths using double stops. So just to recap, C, D, E, F, and G. G is your 5th interval. So we're going to start here on the B and E strings at the 8th fret. Got my root here on the high E string on the 8th fret, and my 5th on the B string at the 8th fret. So again, I'm following the root on the high E string as my visual aid. So here's the scale in 5th. And side note, we've got 2 shapes, but we're going to use this shape all the way until the last chord, which is it's the 7th chord, and it has a diminished 5th in it. So all we'll be doing is sliding this finger, your index finger, down a half step once we get to the 7th chord. So here we go. Even slower. All right. And that kind of stuff is where you get all the kind of slidey sounds, like that kind of deal going with the 5ths. It's kind of I don't want to say it's kind of an open sound. It's really cool. All right, let's go ahead and harmonize it on the B and G string. So just pretending again like this nut on the guitar is 0 fret, fret 0. So we've got this shape with the G string open and the B string at the 1st fret. We're going to play that. And then we're going to go to our 2 chord. So there's the shape. And like I said, we're just using this shape all the way to the last chord where we slide our index finger down a half step. 3 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, 6 chord, 7th chord, we slide that finger down. One more time. All right. There's the scale and fifth. All right, so we spent some time dissecting some 3rds, 5ths, and 6th intervals while harmonizing the major scale. Get all that underneath your fingers, and especially the harmonizing of the major scale. That's where all those cool double stop licks live. And once you start playing all those double stop licks, it'll be second nature to you, and you'll start pulling them out of your bag of tricks whenever you want. As always, a huge thanks to our sponsors, Curling Cables. And for 10% off anything on their website, use our promo code PRIME10. That's PRIME, all caps, 10. It gets you 10% off anything on their website. And also Talon Guitar Picks. I never go anywhere without mine. They're great. So huge thanks to those guys too. And thank you for watching Primetime Guitar. And as always, keep practicing, keep jamming, and we'll see you next time.